Jai Shri Krishna Guru. Thank you for joining Sri Bhagavad Gita Satsang, The Way of Life. Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Shri Saraswataya Namaha, Om Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Very good evening to you all, and we'll continue from where we stopped in the last satsang, that is chapter 3. Karmayoga, or the Yoga of Action. We had done until verse 16. Let us continue from verse 17 onwards. He, however, who takes delight in the self alone and is gratified with the self and is contented in the self has no duty. See, in the last few verses, Lord Shri Krishna was explaining to Arjuna that whatever activities, that is, whatever karma that we perform, it has to be done as a sacrifice alone. And we have to do a selfless action, nishkama karma. That is what he has been teaching since the beginning of this chapter. In the last chapter, he taught about the knowledge. Having understood the knowledge, now it is important to do your duties, applying the knowledge that he has been, the knowledge which Lord Shri Krishna has imparted to Arjuna. So he's saying, Lord Shri Krishna is saying, he, however, who takes delight in the self alone and is gratified with the self and is contented in the self has no duty. Wow, that's very powerful. What does that mean? He, however, who takes delight in the self alone. We have heard, no, self, myself, ourselves. It's like we keep saying the word self. But have you ever understood what is the self? When we say the self, we're not talking about the lower self, the ego. Saying, oh, I want this, I want to do this. That's exactly what we all say. I want to do this for myself. I want to work for myself. I want to buy the jewelry for myself. That's all the lower self. That's fulfilling your crass, petty human desires. But here he's talking about the big S, the capital S, S-E-L-F. That self is the higher self. Once you realize this higher self, then there is no duty attached to you. Then you become ever free because you're only lost in yourself. Many a time, if you've heard my Krishna Guruji satsang, or if you've observed him, he's always lost in a different state. Unless and until his teaching, he's not very much there. He's totally in his own world, but you can't make out. He's lost in his self completely. So he has no duties to perform like how we have, because he's beyond the mind, body, senses, the three gunas. He has transcended even the Maya. He is the divine Lord himself. He has just manifested in this body to teach. That is all. But he has no duty for himself. And he has given up his entire world, in the sense the material world. So there is no duty for a being like him. Even those who walk the path of spiritual and have completely given up their material worldly attachments, the desires, and saying, I want to earn money, I have an ambition, I want to fulfill that, whatever desire that may be. Once they have given up all that, the material worldly existence, then they're completely free. They have nothing to do in this world. They can roam like Lord Dattatreya. He's an Avaduta. He's ever free. And he roams around this entire universe. He's completely lost in himself. He's the Parabrahma himself, Supreme Master. So can we ever compare ourselves to that? No, not at all. But here what is Lord Shri Krishna saying? He, however, who takes delight in the self. So you have to take delight in yourself alone, the higher self. And you're completely lost in that and is gratified with that self. So you have to be gratified with that self, which means you're in that oneness. You experience what is called, even in the earlier chapter we did this, it's called Satchidanand. That is Sat, understanding the truth. So once you realize yourself, you understand the truth. That is Sat. Chid means knowledge. You have the knowledge about everything in this world. You are the supreme knowledge yourself. And then bliss. You're lost in that blissful state. And that is called Satchidanand. And please remember one very important lesson here. This self, which I'm also trying to describe, nobody can describe. These words cannot be understood until and unless you yourself walk the path and experience. This is called self-realization, which means the self will reveal itself to you when it is pleased. Means what? When you have overcome your mind, body, senses, the three gunas, and you have transcended beyond the three gunas and also the Maya, only then the self will reveal itself to you. And for that, what is the foundation that you need to have? Absolute faith, complete surrender, unconditional pure love, exclusive devotion, and most important, purification of heart and mind and surrender unto the lotus feet of the divine Lord and the Guru has to happen. Till such time, experiencing this self is a far away thing. It's way too far. It's like you're on earth and this is like going to space to achieve it. It's, see, though it is in the palm of your hand, yet we feel that's the distance we have to reach. That's how it feels, because we are attached to our body, mind, senses, ego, pride, arrogance, and you name it, everything. We are bound. We are always, swaying between the three gunas, the modes of Prakriti, Mother Nature. So our nature, we are unable to overcome. So being in Sattva Guna is the first criteria. That also we don't. There's no goodness existing within us. We are always thinking about something bad. Our mind is always spewing venom. It's either, if you today look at any human being, you'll see they are very gloomy, they are depressed, they are upset, they are irritated, they are frustrated. There are so many things going on. They can't be contented with their life. How will the self ever reveal itself to you or anybody else? Because you're constantly living in that mode of negativity. Your mind is saying somebody is bad to you, somebody is good to you. You're constantly irritated. You're trying to fight your life. You're trying to fight relationships, fight everything. But most important lesson which Lord Sri Krishna imparted in chapter 2 is what? That is, you need to practice yoga of equanimity. What does that mean? We are not getting disturbed by what happens around us, because our mind is in that equanimity state. It is in the centered. We say equipoise is what you need to achieve. How do you achieve? You have to strive really hard. And when you do that, you are detached from everything. And the most important lesson he gave is that when the senses come in contact with the sense object, you don't have to dwell in that. The moment you dwell, then comes an attachment. From attachment comes desires. So, then it's a downward spiral. You keep then deteriorating, going towards the ruin. That's exactly what happens. So I'm not going to repeat that, but that's the truth. I'm sure you have listened to it, you understand it. So why do we go back to the same thing? It's like a cycle. We come back to the same point where we all began. You strive hard, then you're trying to achieve evolving. You put in a lot of effort. You make some progress, but what happens? One tiny thing affects you, then you're back again, square one, where you all began. So that is what you have to avoid. These are the pitfalls, especially on the path of spirituality. And they come many a time, and especially if you have studying under the tutelage of a great master, a divine being himself, please remember, you will be caught off guard. And when you're unprepared is when you will be put into the most toughest tests. And that time, if that knowledge doesn't shine within you, then you fail. Then the guru knows, oh, okay, so the fructification of knowledge has not happened at all, which means you have not practiced. So one of the most important criteria on the path of spirituality, that is to evolve, you have to do your sadhana. Practice is a must. And you can't say, I'm not going to practice. It's very easy to say that. So here, no matter how much I try to describe this higher self, it is beyond what any words can describe. You can't adequately describe with words. Neither can you comprehend. You can only experience, because it is self-realization. Means the self will reveal itself to me, and it's my own realization. Nobody else can have that realization for me, and nobody can adequately describe what is a self to anyone. It's beyond the human minds can an understanding. You can't. So like the great gurus also, they will just point out, it is like this, it is like this. That's exactly what. And here also Lord Sri Krishna is just saying the self, the word self is what he's saying. But what is the self? You have to ask, and you have to go into that. What is that meaning? What is that state? What is that realization? What should I understand? So when you seek is when you will find it. There's a very beautiful saying, no? What you are seeking is already seeking you back. So which means it's already there, just that we are unable to achieve it. My Guruji will always say, the God realization of self is sitting in the palm of your hand, but yet you are not able to see. Why? That is because your heart has to be completely pure. Till the time the purity of your heart is complete and the mind is purified and the surrender unto the lotus feet of the Guru doesn't happen, the self will never reveal itself to you. God realization can never happen. Yeah, we'll say you have to practice devotion, you have to be in love. Today my Guruji wrote a very beautiful status, on Facebook. He's exactly talking about this. He's saying everybody's experience is their own. Nobody can, tell what it means to you. Somebody will call it's a bhakti, it's a devotion, it's a love. But what is between you and God, only you can understand that. You can go through that experience. Can anybody give you that understanding? No. God is to each his own, and this is what we forget in understanding. You can't compare my experiences versus what your understanding is. So many a time there are people, the mind is always going to compare with another human being. The moment they see another human being, they'll say, oh look, I go through this, or whatever they go through this. Please understand, the experiences that happen many a time also because of your mind throws those things. The experience with God is very unique. It is beyond the words, the comprehension of the words. So you can't describe to another being what you feel like, because that is purely yours. It's your sweetest relationship with your divine Lord Almighty. So what makes you think and you can explain to somebody else? So don't even make an effort to do that. And sometimes when another person is sharing their experience, it is only to say, look, this is it is their experience of what they have, on the path of them evolving in spirituality. It's their journey. So just giving you that conviction, oh yes, there is something and I need to strive hard as well. But beyond that, you can't compare. Why? Because every individual's association with the divine Lord is unique. Because what I will put effort, what I can see in that God, you might not be able to see. So why compare? And then when you compare, you fall down. That's what happens. You can't compare. You can't say, I want to be like her, or I want to be. Yeah, you can always say, I can be better than someone. That's a goal and aspiration. Of course, yes, I will rise above. I can be better than somebody else. But that doesn't mean that you can compare. And please remember, everybody is perfect in their places, and each one has their own relationship with God. And that is something you cannot describe. And that level of experience also depends on where they stand in their journey and where they are in their path of evolution in the world of spiritual. So that is nothing to do. But what is most important to understand is we all are, our goal is one alone. Whether you want to say, okay, I'm a 2 days old, I'm a 10-year-old, I'm a 1 day old, 1 year old, it doesn't matter. Everybody's goal is one. But to first get there, you have to go through a lot of sadhana and practice. And until that happens, you can't achieve, you can't understand this self. Yeah, Lord Shri Krishna is so nicely telling Arjuna, but do you think Arjuna even understood? Even the self, he's standing in front of him. Do you think he was able to recognize? No, not at all. But then why is the Lord saying? But he's saying this so that someday, even that one being makes an effort to achieve that, then you will realize, and then you'll also know that there is something called the self. That is why Lord Shri Krishna is imparting this knowledge to Arjuna. And so he's saying, and is contented in the self and has no duty. Then there's no duty for you. You have nothing to do in this world. The moment you cross over, then there is no duty. Then you're free. You're an eternal being. Then you have nothing. You're just going to do what comes to this body naturally. That which comes to the body is born with certain set of duties. You just have to do it. Like my Krishna Guruji will say, his Gurudev ordained him that he has to just go teach. And he has no choice. He cannot exercise his own choice. Then you become the servant of the divine Lord. You're the tool in the hands of the divine Lord. You have to obey your Guru's command. Likewise, in my case, my Krishna Guruji, earlier this year, he initiated and said, he anointed me and said, you have to now teach, you have to do this. The day he formally anointed me and initiated me on this path of teaching, I began to teach. The words are of not my wisdom alone. The words are of his wisdom, the divine Lord's. I am mere a tool in his hands. But what happens is when we journey, this is a path of progress. You grow. And the Guru is constantly evaluating you, how good you are. And none of these things comes easy. You have to first show your deservability. You have to show that you're worthy of receiving that knowledge. The Guru is never going to just give, the knowledge to anybody and everyone just like that. Please remember, my Guruji has said this many a time. We choose, there are chosen ones. Why? Because you have already proved your worth, and he's always going to test you whether you're worthy of it or not. And then the choice is up to you how much you want to put effort and evolve. It purely depends on the student alone, the disciple alone. It is no more in the hands of the divine Lord or the Guru, because it is your journey along with your master. And then in that process, what happens? He's going to put you through a lot of rigorous tests. He's going to put you through those grind. And that time, you will either stand up to that if you're very determined, and we say the will to go ahead. If you have that in you, you will be able to stand all odds out, all kinds of tests you will be able to face and victoriously evolve along with your master. But if you have a weak mind and you're unable to control your mind and senses and everything else, you will fall off the path. And this has happened. So it is in your hands how much you want to evolve, how much you want to progress, how strong a will you are, how determinate you are. So that all purely depends on you alone. The Guru is ever gracious, he's ever compassionate. He's waiting to bestow this beautiful knowledge. And he seeks the one who is coming to him only in wanting of this. He's not interested in students who just keep coming and asking him, with the big begging bowl, saying, Guruji, I need this, I need that, and then once their wants and desires are fulfilled, then they are not to be even seen or heard. Then Guruji doesn't exist in their world. This is the Kali Yuga. This is how the world is, and we need to accept that. So my Guruji says, I don't expect anything from anybody. Just because I am bestowing them whatever that they're asking doesn't mean I want to expect that they should give it to me. And that's the greatness. That is who the divine Lord is. That is why they are called the divine beings. And we are called the crass material human beings, petty mati. Human beings are always bothered about our own selfish desires. We are full of selfishness. We don't have big-heartedness. We are not here to serve his purpose. We are here to serve our own purpose. That is what happens. And then you live like a mere mortal, who's going to keep coming back again and again and sanctioning many more, births and many more rebirths. That's exactly what happens to us human being. But when you evolve, when you understand this truth and go ahead with your divine Guru and saying, no, I want to achieve, I want to go ahead. And when you put all your efforts, the Guru on his own will definitely bestow that which is right for you. And that's so beautiful. That is why we say, Moksha Moolam Gurur Krupam. Without the grace of Guru, you can never attain the moksham. And that is because the Guru is the one who grants it for you. But he wants to see how much effort you put. He wants to see whether you're deserving of that moksha or not. It's not a joke. It's not like it's like it's given. It's not a handout. You can't pay. You cannot negotiate with a Guruji saying that, Guruji, please, I'm going to pay you $1 billion. I need to get moksha. No, you can give even the whole world to it. You are never going to get that. Moksha Moolam Gurur Krupam means what? To become a divine being. You need to serve the purpose of the divine Lord. And when you have achieved that with your own self-effort, that is when the Guru, the God himself, gets pleased. And that is why we say the self-realization, which means the self will reveal itself with you at the right time, when you have evolved to that level. Hope you've understood this. And then once the person, the individual who has achieved this, has no duty left for him to perform in this world or any other world. So in this world, the great soul has nothing to gain exactly by action nor by abstaining from action, nor has he selfish dependence of any kind on any creature. Exactly, I've already explained this verse as well to you. So what is Lord Shri Krishna teaching here to Arjuna? He's saying, in this world, that great soul, the one, who's this great soul? The one who has attained self-realization. Such a soul has nothing to gain by action nor by abstaining from action. He can choose to, whether, like example, my Guruji chose, okay, I will follow the diktats or the command of my Gurudev because I revere my Guru. He's the greatest. So my Krishna Guruji said, I will teach, though he didn't want to. So for him, he wanted to run away from action. He didn't want to do anything. But his Gurudev said, no, you are here to teach, you have to teach. So he didn't say I have a choice or no choice, but it is in reverence for your master that you agree to it. And he does. So here, what is he saying? Once you realize, then there is nothing, whether you perform your action or you abstain from action also. It doesn't matter. Nor has he selfish dependence of any kind on any creature. This is a very important lesson. Nor has he selfish dependence of any kind on any creature. So there is no selfish dependence. See, we are all dependent. You take a child is dependent on its parents. Old people are dependent on their children, or a husband is wife on the husband is dependent on the wife is dependent on the husband, or an employee is dependent on the company or his manager because he's working there, he wants salary. There is selfish dependence, and that doesn't exist in case of this great being. Who are these? The one who has had their self-realization. So for them, they don't need to even do any duty. If they can even say, they can choose. They can perform that action or they can abstain from performing that action. It doesn't matter because they have no dependency on anybody. They don't have any selfish, nor has he selfish dependence of any kind on any creature. There is no selfish dependence. So he's selfless being. What do they become? They become a selfless being. Once you achieve that God realization, it doesn't matter to you anymore. You understand the truth, and that truth is beyond the comprehension of human mind and understanding. It's beyond the mind's ken and understanding. So what happens at that time? So they choose whatever they want to do. And they don't have any dependency on anybody, no one. And how things happen in the world is none of anybody's business. If the universe works for them, the Ashtasiddhis are always ever around them. They're always saying Tatastu. They're ever eagerly waiting to serve these great masters. That is how it works. And if you have read Lord Dattatrey's beautiful story about Narsimha Saraswati. The 64 yoginis were serving Narsimha Saraswati under the Audumbar tea at the bank of the Narsoba Chavadi, in the place called Narsoba Chavadi. I don't know which river is it, if it's Chandrabhaga river or which river, I can't remember. I'm sorry. Pardon my not ignorance, pardon my ability of not able to remember the right river. So over there, when Narsimha Saraswati was sitting incognito for 12 long years, these yoginis were serving the Guru. They did their entire service. And there's a very beautiful serial about Lord Dattatreya. It's available on, I think it's available on Disney Hotstar in Marathi. You should watch. And there they say, wow, who are these yoginis? Why did they come? How they serve the Divine Master? It's a very beautiful story. So for these divine beings, they are not dependent on any, they don't have anybody to depend on, any creature. But the divine beings around them serve them. That is the truth. And they're not filled with any selfish motivation. Or selfishly, I want someone to do this for me, do that for me. Never, never. You ask them, do you need this? They'll say, I don't want, I don't need, I don't have any need in anything, for anything in this world. My Krishna Guruji will say, see, the body has to be maintained. So he just says, I have to eat a meal a day. So I will eat. My full meal is this lunch. He will eat his full meal, and that's about it. One whole meal in a day. Why? Because he has to just maintain his body. It's basic subsistence. And there is nothing like, I like this, I don't like this. No. Though when you look at these great beings, what you see in them is that, oh wow, look at him enjoying. Oh, he's loving it. It's not like that. They have no connect with the sense organs. I mean, when you eat, it's just a sacrifice. Yesterday we learned about it, right? They're just offering the sacrifice to the body because the body has to be nourished. So when you foster the gods, the gods foster you. So it's vice versa. So that's exactly what they do. They follow the nature, how everything has been defined, and they work in that clockwork precision. My Guruji once taught that when you're in perfect synchronization with your own nature and the nature outside, then the universe will work with you. You will be one with the universe. And then there will be no difficulties in your life. You will be able to achieve anything that you aspire to, but for which you have to become so disciplined. You have to keep up your word. If you give a commitment, you have to adhere to it. But you see a human being, they will say one thing and they will do another thing. They will never keep up their word. They will never keep up their commitment at all. Time is the divine Lord himself. He says, I am the very essence of the time. So we don't respect time. So time is never going to be with us. Please remember, we are always going to feel the paucity of time, and that is why doing everything before time is very important. And so my Guruji will always keep telling us, you got to plan, you have to plan properly, and you have to always be ahead. I mean, you have to be ahead of everything, and you have to be before in time. I mean, you have to do everything before the D-Day, or before that you have even committed that you will be doing. But how does a human being work? He would have committed, the time would have come and gone as well, and then he'll remember, wake up one day, oh God, I should do this now. So what happens if you're not doing things in time? You're against the universe. So the universe is never going to work with you. So it's always going to be against you. That's why you'll always feel, oh God, nothing is happening in my world. This thing comes about only because you're not doing things in time. You're not disciplined. You're not truthful to yourself. So my Guruji will say, don't do it for me. Do it for yourself. Be truthful to yourself. Be very sincere to yourself. So, and he doesn't have any selfish dependence of any kind on any creature. So I hope you understood. These, the one who have achieved self-realization, the great masters, and they are not bothered about anything in their world. Everything is the same alone. So there is no friend nor foe in their world. Everybody, this entire universe is born of them. They understand that everything is the Maya of the divine Lord alone, and they can see God in everybody. So they are not going to, praise somebody. If somebody says something, they're going to feel bad, nothing, or they're not going to, even when they shout, it doesn't matter to them. They're just doing their duty, The gunas perform in the gunas for them. They are not doing it with mind in it. They perform any action effortlessly. You know why? Because they have achieved, they have attained that perfection. So we all have to strive to become like that if that is your goal. But in the material world, this particular verse says that how you can become, the same lesson can be imbibed in our own material world to live a life of, detached, a life which is completely detached, which means you're detached from all the sense objects and you're just serving the purpose of the divine Lord. In the material world, you just can do your action and not bother about the end result. So this will empower you to become, this will empower you to achieve a state where you're not going to feel upset, angry, agitated. You're not comparing yourself with someone, and you will not be bothered. It doesn't matter really whether you succeed or fail, because it is a part of the journey and you have to go through that process. And if you don't go through that, you can't grow in this world. You cannot become great. I hope you understood. So this is how you can apply this in your material world. So next, therefore, go on efficiently doing your duty at all times without attachment. I already covered this verse. What is the Lord saying? Doing work without attachment, man attains the supreme. See, at the end of the day, whatever that you do in your material world, it is only towards an attainment of something. But he's not talking about attaining, or you become a CEO of a company. Fine. How many years can you be a CEO of a company? For till as long as that position exists? No, you can't. It's only a period, right? You can be in that position for a period of time and then you will be replaced by somebody else. But here he's talking about attaining something which is eternal, where nobody can take that away from you. That is what Lord Shri Krishna is teaching. But how can you attain? How do you attain? That is what he's also imparting to Arjuna, where he's saying through the path of Karmayoga, performing nishkam karma or selfless action. He's saying, therefore, go on efficiently. The word is very important. Please underline this word. Efficiently. Efficiently is the most important word. Efficiently doing your duty at all times without attachment. That's a very, very, very powerful lesson. Therefore, go on efficiently doing your duty at all times. Not just one time. People also say, oh, Guruji, I did this yesterday. Look, I've already started practicing, but are you consistent? Are you doing this every single day of your life? No, we don't. We'll do it once in a while, after getting 10 bamboos. My Guruji will say, after, having the stick and giving you the 10 beatings, till you don't get the bamboos, you're never going to do. So he has to constantly, keep you under the pressure, and then you will do. But the consistency is what is important, and that consistency is something that you have to practice, and it all begins with self-discipline. See, we human beings, imagine one day also, if you miss doing something, then your mind becomes relaxed. Next day it'll tell, it's okay, today you can avoid. No, tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. Please remember, you'll keep procrastinating, but that tomorrow will never come in your life. And this is what happens. So my Krishna Guruji will tell, you know what, people come and join the program, they will say, okay, I will practice everything. But it is only till the Guru is there in front of them, because he's there to kick their XXX, so that they are able to move a little bit to do their job. They're able to move their body to, or they lift themselves up to do the task. Otherwise, they are not going to, you'll become a lazy person. You'll just, have apathetic attitude towards life. And then you'll become very, complacency will seep in. Then what happens? You're complacent. And then you're not going to do anything. You will just take life. Okay, fine, I just have to leave. I met someone, and that someone told me, I just asked, have you gone to work today? No, you know what? I didn't feel like it. I don't want to go. I'm like, hello, you're getting paid for. How can you say this? So people take things for granted. What does it mean? They're just apathetic. They're not truthful to their task. They're not sincere to that job. We say work is worship. We have to be very truthful to ourselves. We have to be very disciplined in our approach. If we don't do that, then there's going to be a problem in life. Yeah, we might leave this body and go back, but what kind of a birth again you're going to get? It's going to be a miserable birth. Why do you want to get into that? So he's saying, so to redeem yourself, even through Karma Yoga, you can realize the Supreme. Therefore, go on efficiently doing your duty at all times without attachment. He's very clear. At all times without attachment. So if you just efficiently go on doing your duty at all times, he didn't say one time, no, at all times, 365 days in a year, and that into how many years you're alive. Even till your last breath, you should do efficiently. You have to work without having any attachment. Doing work without attachment, man attains Supreme. So by just this one method itself, you attain Supreme. Isn't that so powerful? But can anybody work without having an attachment? That's a question I ask you, and you need to answer it for yourself. Very difficult, because when we are doing any job, we are attached to it. We're expecting an outcome. But here Lord Shri Krishna is very clear. You cannot have any attachment. If you do your duty efficiently at all times without attachment, then only you can attain the Supreme. And isn't that easy to attain self-realization? No, the moment you attain your Supreme, then you're free. So you have served your purpose. There is nothing remaining for you. And this is what Lord Shri Krishna is telling Arjuna. How even through the path of Karma Yoga, you can attain the Supreme. So he's only telling Arjuna, please listen, lift your bow and arrow and shoot. You have to do this Karma Yoga. You're the, Kshatriya Dharma is your duty. You can't say, I'm not going to fight. You're a born warrior. Get up, Arjuna, fight. Does a man ever listen? No, that's a sad part. Imagine Lord Shri Krishna is telling this to Arjuna. Don't you think such a huge, mighty, you can't even fathom his greatness. You can't even know his existence. Such a magnanimous being is telling Arjuna. And Arjuna here is still bewildered. He's confused. He doesn't know what to do. He still doesn't know what to do. But what to do is what the Lord is teaching. He's just saying, just do it. Your job is to lift your bow and arrow and shoot. What is the end result? How things are going to work? Why are you bothered? Why are you upset with that? Don't be. That is what he's teaching Arjuna. Let us continue. We'll do one more verse before we end the satsang. It is through action without attachment alone that Janaka and other wise men reached perfection. Having in view the maintenance of the world order too, you should take to action. Wow, that's a very profound verse. I think, every verse seems so profound. Yet, why is this Arjuna not understanding? It's a question even I have. Why does our mind doesn't listen? Why can't we understand the words of our Guru? This is the reason. Imagine, had Arjuna understood, like I said, even in the first few, explanation in second chapter itself, he would have attained the God realization and he would have just, done his duty. But it never happened. 18 chapters he had to go through the learning. Until the 18th chapter the Lord had to teach, and only then finally he understood, and then he rose and fought the war. Not until then. Likewise, we also have to realize this as early as possible and understand the Lord Shri Krishna's and understand the words of the Lord Shri Krishna and just act, do exactly what he's asking us to do. But if you don't do, then there is a huge trouble. I don't know what else to say. It's very difficult to explain. What else can you say? What else can you explain? Since the last two chapters, I'm talking the same thing. Earlier, it was all about knowledge. Now it's all about doing. And even in the knowledge part, he said, you just have to do it. He kept giving this less teachings to Arjuna. Look, you're born Kshatriya. It is your Kshatriya dharma. You cannot tell you are not going to do your duties. That's exactly what Lord Shri Krishna taught Arjuna, but yet he's not able to, understand. And he continues with the same thing. Okay, I don't want to fight. It doesn't work like that. So he's saying it is through action without attachment. What is that you need to do? Very important. Action without attachment. It is through action without attachment alone, and that Janaka and other wise men reached perfection. King Janaka and other wise men. Wise men are the nobles of the Brahman. So they have reached perfection. They attained their perfection only by performing their duties without attachment. There was no attachment. If they had to do, they had to do. If they had to kill somebody, they did it. So they didn't bother about what is going to be the repercussions, what is going to be the end result. There was no attachment to the end results. And through this practice alone, they attained, like King Janaka and other wise men, attained perfection, having in view the maintenance of the world order too. So what was in view? What did they keep in view? When they did these actions, they had in view the maintenance of the world order too. What does that mean? Maintenance of the world order too means what? The King Janaka is a great king. He's known for, ruling a very beautiful way. His kingdom was amazing. He was a people king. And yet he was a realized being. He was able to do his duties without any attachment, and he attained the perfection. But while he was doing, for him, his goal was the world order, to maintain the world order, which means to always ensure there is goodness in this world and you're doing a righteous, you're following the righteous path, and you're a great king, that you're ruling. Your ruling is so good that you're doing the right justice. I mean, I would just say justice is one aspect, but you're taking care of people. You're ensuring there is law and order. There's a good harmony in the world. All that, I would say a golden age, but that doesn't exist. It's just a way of explaining it to you. Or we say, right, Ram Rajya. Does Ram Rajya even exist? Because when it's believed that when Lord Rama was the king, he ruled very righteously. He was known for his kingship, the way how he conducted himself, how he took care of his people and ensured there was this order maintained in his kingdom. But that doesn't exist. Even during Rama's period, there was a lot of things that he had to also face. But he's known, Ram Rajya, that is the word. He's known for his, kingship, how he ruled the kingdom. He's known for that. So he is a great leader. That's an example he set so that the world can follow as well. But today, is there any order? Is anybody bothered about the world? No. Everybody's bothered about filling their own pockets, filling their own, satisfying their own desires, doing good only to themselves. They don't care about the world. They don't care about the people. There is no law and order today. The maintenance of law and order doesn't exist. There is chaos. There is too many things going on in our world. But if we all take it up personally, individually, to do something about this, the world will become a better place around us. So we can influence. That is why Gandhiji said, right, be the change you want to see in this world. We are not here to change the world, but we are here to change ourselves. Through this great teaching by Lord Shri Krishna to Arjuna, these great lessons are coming to us. Learn that lesson and apply in your own life. Everything will be fine and you will be able to evolve. Yes, you have to fraught everything with difficulties. It has to be worked hard, right? It doesn't come easy. Nothing comes easy. What comes easy goes away easily too. So you have to fight for it. You have to strive, continue to doing things, and don't give up. Patience and time are the two important factors in life that you need to always keep in mind. And never give up the sight, never lose the sight of the time, nor even the patience, the quality which you have to achieve in your own life. That's why we say patience is virtue. So now don't lose the sight of these two important aspects in your life, patience and time, while doing all other things. So you should take two actions. So what is he saying? Having in view the maintenance of the world order two, you should take two action. What is he saying? Don't do it for yourself. It is for the world you're doing. So you need to keep the world first in your mind. You can't say if I fight I will lose my children, my kith and kin. Then who am I winning this kingdom for? So Lord Shri Krishna is saying, Mr. Arjuna, you cannot just say you're doing it for yourself. Having in view the maintenance of the world order too, you should take to action. Like my Guruji says, he teaches us a very beautiful thing. Please remember, you're doing service to the world. Service unto the mankind is the most important thing. So when the purpose is for the higher cause, then you can't say that I don't want to do, or I want to do. It is that you should take to action. You have to take to action. You don't have a choice. That is exactly what Lord Shri Krishna is saying. You're doing it for the well-being of this world. It's for a good cause, and it's for everybody's benefit alone. So please remember that and do your duties. You should take to action. With that, we will stop here and we'll continue from verse 21 in our next satsang. Thank you once again for joining the Bhagavad Gita satsang, as described, the way of life as described by Lord Shri Krishna to Arjuna. Om Shri Mahaganapate Namaha. Om Shri Gurudev Datta. Om Shri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Digambara Digambara Shripad Vallabha Digambara. Om Shri Krishna Gurunath Natha Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Devi Durgaya Namaha. Om Shri Krishna Arpadam Namastu. Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum.